Hello, Equality Pack, friends and supporters. We're so proud to be here with Arizona State Representative Daniel Hernandez, our endorsed candidate for Arizona's 2nd Congressional District. We are recording this video so you'll have an opportunity to learn more about Daniel, his campaign for Congress, and why we need him in the Equality Caucus. So Daniel, thank you so much for joining us today. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself and why you're running for Congress?
Thank you, Representative Cicilline. It's good to be here with you and Representative Takano. I am Daniel Hernandez. I've been a state representative in the state of Arizona for the last 5 years. Prior to that, I served on a school board from 2011 to 2019. So I've been in my community as an elected official for almost a decade. I've been working hard to make sure that we're creating positive changes in our community for not just the LGBTQ community, but for all Arizonans. And for me, I'm coming to this race because I care about helping people. Ever since I was 5 years old, I've been wanting to get more involved in my community to help others. At first, I thought the only way of being able to do that was by being a nurse or by being a doctor. And then in 2008, I learned from Gabby Giffords, actually, that you could be an advocate and be a voice for those who can speak up for themselves. So I changed my major to molecular and cellular biology to political science, started working on advocacy, and by the time I was 20, passed my first piece of legislation out of the Arizona State House. And ever since then, I've been going up to the state capitol for the last 13 years, fighting to improve the lives of people in Southern Arizona. And now I'm running for Congress because I want to take those skills where I've been able to get stuff done on some of the toughest issues, including LGBT rights in Arizona, to Washington, D.C.
Well, that's really amazing to hear, Daniel. As we look towards the 2022 midterm elections, our goal here at Equality PAC is to expand the majority in the House of Representatives, a pro-equality majority in the House of Representatives, and make the next Congress even gayer than the current. You know, every time I've been reelected since 2012, I've been able to say we've just elected the gayest Congress in history that we know of, and I hope to be able to say that again when you are elected to the Congress. You know, Congresswoman Ann Kirkpatrick has been an incredible advocate for the causes that we care about. How do you plan to keep the district blue and build on Congresswoman Kirkpatrick's legacy?
So first, I want to thank Congresswoman Kirkpatrick. Not only has she been a leader for Southern Arizona and is the only Arizona appropriator, she's also been in the legislature. She is someone who has been just a fixture in Arizona politics, who's been advocating for the LGBTQ community. I still remember one of the first fundraisers of hers I ever went to was a human rights campaign fundraiser with a drag queen. And it was such a weird thing for me to see a congressional candidate with a drag queen and not, trying to shy away from LGBTQ community. So I'm really excited, and I hope to keep the work that she's been doing in Congress going. The way that I'm going to keep this seat blue is by doing what I've always done, by making sure that I'm reaching out to voters, working hard to communicate with them. In 2016, when I ran for the legislature, I actually took out an incumbent Republican. And I didn't do that just by running as the gay candidate. I ran that by going and meeting with the people in the community, listening to what their needs were, what their concerns were, and talking about how I was the best fit to make sure we could get that done for them. So in the last year during the pandemic, we saw that healthcare was a huge issue that has become so important for many people in this district. So making sure that we are building upon the successes of the Affordable Care Act, building out access to things like affordable, accessible healthcare, and doing what I did last year, which was saving a hospital during the middle of a pandemic, are the kinds of things that I think voters will care about in the upcoming election. I also am a really hard worker. Last year, during the middle of the pandemic, I traveled about 35,000 miles across the state of Arizona helping elect Democrats, because we have the best message to make sure that we can go to these Republicans and these moderate voters and say, here's why our vision for what the country should look like is better. So I'm confident that I'll be able to keep the seat blue just by doing what I've been doing for years, which is fighting hard for our values and making sure that we work tirelessly to inform voters about the choices that they have in the election.
Daniel, thank you for that. I've always believed that in order for us to be competitive, we need to field great candidates everywhere. And that's why Equality PAC is so proud to have come in early and endorsed your campaign for Congress. One of the things we focused on, as you know, is securing passage of the Equality Act and continuing to advance rights for LGBTQ Americans. And so when you get elected to Congress, how do you plan to be an effective voice for our community, because I think we all bring our district responsibilities to Congress, but as members of the LGBTQ community, we also understand we have a responsibility to our own community. So how do you think about those, kind of being an effective voice for LGBTQ Americans when you're in Congress?
Thank you. I think that's a great question. It's not enough to just be a member of a community. In order to be a champion, you have to shut up and listen to the people in that community and their needs. So when I started at the Arizona State House, there were 4 openly gay members. There were 3 state reps and 1 state senator. So I said, let's formalize and create a caucus similar to what you have done in Washington, D.C. And let's start convening stakeholder meetings to listen to the needs, because 3 gay Latinos in the House and 1 gay Latino in the Senate do not an LGBTQ community make. So I think one of the things that I'm dedicated to continuing to do is sitting down and listening to stakeholders, particularly right now when we're seeing that there's so many challenges that are different for different parts of our community. So for LGBTQ seniors, their needs are going to be very different than those who are recently coming out, or kids who are in our public schools who are being assaulted with these awful bills having to do with trans athlete bans. So making sure we're listening to the community, the stakeholders, and doing what I've been doing for the last 5 years in the Arizona State House, which is not giving up on the idea that our issues as LGBTQ Americans have to be partisan. And instead saying, these are nonpartisan issues. They're good for the economy, because when you include everybody, we are making sure that we're open for business for everyone, but also making sure we're working to try and find some education routes to some of our Republican colleagues. When I worked and I introduced a non-discrimination bill here in Arizona that including housing protections, protections in employment, and also protections for public accommodations, I got Republicans to sign on. But that wasn't just because they were, people who cared about this issue instantly. It was because we spent the time getting to educate them, getting them to meet trans people, getting them to understand from people who'd been fired for being openly gay what those protections meant. So I want to kind of take that mentality of educating those who don't know about our issues, but also making sure that we're standing up and listening to all the segments of the community. Because again, as a gay Latino from Tucson, I don't know everything that every LGBTQ person is experiencing around the country. And I want to make sure that I'm a good advocate. And that starts by shutting up, listening to what their needs are, and then having to advocate for those.
Well, Daniel, I thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us, to share your vision for your district and for our country. Equality PAC is very proud to be standing with you to win this race and get you elected to Congress. And I just realized, listening to you, that you would be the first openly Latino gay member of Congress, and that would bring much needed, extend the diversity we have within the Equality Caucus now, make it even more diverse. And to our followers and supporters, please take a moment to support Daniel's campaign for Congress. Every dollar you donate goes a long way to ensuring amazing LGBTQ candidates like Daniel can win, so that we can grow the LGBTQ numbers in the House, and in this case, make the LGBTQ membership even more diverse. So please visit DanielHernandezForCongress.com and give him what you can. Thank you again, Daniel, and the best of luck in your race for Congress.
Thank you.